This could be the best budget miter gauge that I've ever found, but it does have a slight flaw, but is it a deal breaker? Let's find out. All right, out of the box is pretty impressive what you get here for the price, and that's what this is all about, the budget level stuff. Well packaged, I like that. It's a really nice beefy fence. So far so good. Oh, and this does have that extension on there. I like it so far. Let's hope it's accurate. I was quite impressed coming out of the box. This is a fairly heavy duty miter gauge. In other words, this is extruded aluminum, very, very straight and accurate right out of the box as you see here, and very easy to assemble. You literally just loosen 2 bolts off the back of this thing, slide the fence on, tighten that up. You're good to go. You can move that fence wherever you want it along that rail there. It does also include a stop block with micro adjustments. At this price point, this is good to see. I love it. And we also do have the extension wing that we can extend out for more support for longer cuts. It also does come with a variety of wrenches that you can use to adjust this, which you'll probably lose. Just a few Allen keys and this tiny little wrench. Very minimal adjustments are going to be needed here if it's out of the box square. And they do say that right out of the box that it should be ready to go, but there is clear instructions on how you can adjust it should you need it. The actual knob here that you use to attach to your miter gauge, don't forget to put your little plastic washer on there. It feels like a plastic core there, but the outer edges has some type of aluminum grip on there. Not overly grippy, not like a barbell or anything like that, but it does have a little bit of texture there to help you grip it. And it's actually a nice size around to grip, tighten up, loosen, however you need to do that. Now there are positive stops all along where you see those detents. You just pull this little knob up and twist it so that it's sitting on top and not down in that groove. Once you do that and you loosen this knob, you can just slide it along, flip that back down, and it snaps back into place. Pretty cool. And you can leave that raised up to get any angle along the radius, right, that you need, all the way up to 67.5. Looks like all the way to 70 to the left or to the right. So 70 degrees either way. And those positive stops are at common angles, like 15, 22.5, 30, 35, 45, 60, and 67.5. Now you'll notice set screws on the side of this, and that's where you're going to adjust the tension in your miter slot. It will fit 3/4 inch miter slots as well as like the T miter slots that are 3/4 inch. So I know these type work like on the small 8 1/4 DeWalt job site saw, 10-inch saw, Milwaukee saws, anything like that should have that 3/4 inch groove in it or slot, so this will work. Now I did have to adjust this slightly to fit my miter slot. There was a little bit of slop in there. There are 4 set screws on there that you can adjust. I kept adjusting the one on the back. It felt like it was just a little sloppy for me, and so I just kept on until it gets fairly snug. I want it to be able to slide smooth in the slot, but I also don't want it to have any slack at all. I want it to be snug. That's what you want, so it doesn't move. Now, a couple of things to note. First, cut out of the box on 0, 90 degrees, perfectly square on a common 2x6 that you can pick up anywhere. Tried it on this piece of hardwood here and it cut perfectly square again. Next I tried some 45s. On the first 45 I accidentally hit my piece of plywood that's laying on my workbench, so I had to stop and then cut again. But 45 degrees, 45 degrees, it did well. I didn't do anything, I didn't check it. I just used the positive stop at 45, made the cut. Then I made another cut at 45 on the opposite end, cut the piece in two, and let's see if they fit together. You can't get much better than that. Like, it's perfectly 45, perfectly square, 90-degree corner after those two 45s come together. And a few things I really enjoy about this is the stop block and that micro adjustment. Just like here on that first 45 cut, because I had to stop and start again, you could see where the blade was just a little bit off. So basically use the stop block, use that micro adjust so I could just take off a tiny bit. And the stop block also prevents that board from sliding down as you're making the cut, which is also a good idea. I do like that you can flip this thing up out of the way, so if you don't need the stop block, you can just rock without it. I do like this extension fence. It will extend all the way out to about 38, 37.5 inches away from my blade, or away from the end of the fence, which I have set slightly away from the blade. But that extension fence will let you cut longer stock should you need to. Sometimes you do. Here's the drawback, I think, where we're going to see this at. One thing I've noticed on this miter gauge that you probably won't see on higher end miter gauges, but again, those cost $400, $500, $550 for the saw stop, which is quite amazing. I saw it in person, but it's also $550. This one, the problem I think is going to be on the long extension here. Because we have this long extension and because it's not as high end, I'll say. It's more budget friendly. You're going to give up some things on these type of miter gauges, and that's kind of to be expected. If you put pressure on the far side away from the miter slot, you're going to see, or I'd see on this one, a little bit of flex, and that could be a problem if you let the board or whatever stock you're cutting push on the outside. If you're holding everything right here in the center, pushing through the cut, you'll probably be okay. But if you let anything drag out here, or if you're pushing from the outside or anything like that, it's going to cause some inaccuracies just because there's a very, very minor amount of play. Now, I've tried to get this play out with adjusting the set screws to make them very tight, tightening down the knob. Nothing seems to work, tightening every knob and bolt on here that I can. It's just going to have that play simply because of how it's designed, in my opinion. But it's not a deal killer if you know that that's going to happen and you keep all of your pressure right here in the center. It should be okay for most things. Now, the longer pieces, I think you're going to see a little bit of trouble there, but I don't think you're going to see it on shorter pieces, making 90-degree cuts, as long as you can keep everything pressurized right here at the slot. Now, it does have a measurement scale on top that's both in inches and millimeters, should you be into the metric system. We are not here in the US, and we're okay with that. But it does have both, no matter which system that you run. I think it's a good thing, but I just don't trust it. You would have to basically calibrate it every time to your miter slot or to your blade, or maybe 1 inch away, or however you're going to, ½ inch away, whatever you're going to do away from the blade. Then you would have to calculate that out, or just keep an eye on that. I think it's going to cause more trouble, more confusion than anything. It's just a rough guide. They also give you this little flip indicator that you can use to indicate where it's at on the scale. Should you want to use that, it's there as an option. I'm glad they put it on there as an option. I think the best part about this is this micro adjustment. You can just fine tune this as much as you need. You're just going to loosen off one side, leave this side locked down, and then you can micro adjust that anywhere you want. Like, you can really dial in your cuts if you want to use that stop block there to make precise, accurate cuts. I do love the fact that they put just a regular twist lever so that I could use the extension fence and lock it down. One of my gripes about the Incra 1000 HD, I think is what it was, is it had to use a wrench, basically, or a screwdriver wrench to loosen those off and adjust it. I didn't care for that, but I do like that this is on there so that I don't have to have any special wrenches or anything to adjust that fence. Overall, for the price, and if you don't want to get the one with the extension fence, you can save even more money. I'll link to both in the description. Both of these Vevor brand. I think for the price, this is going to be hard to beat for a budget level miter gauge that's accurate should you use it correctly. No matter what angle you're cutting, if you're trying to do repeatable things, this will help you on your miter saw, especially if you're a beginner or on a budget. And if you're looking for one that's better than the one that comes with almost all table saws, this is a good option for you, in my opinion. It's not perfect, as noted, but I think it's a good option for you if you're needing one. If you know someone or a group of someone somewhere online that would enjoy seeing this tool video, be sure and share that with them. But before you go, hit that subscribe button, or you can check out that next video. I think you're going to like it as well.